So there are lots of ways that you could title quantum when it comes to talking about it in high school, and a lot of people think we're crazy for doing this, but so I just titled that as the title of my talk. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. Majita's going to be my slide, my Vanna person. I do not have a background in quantum. I learned about all the quantum mysteries and the usefulness of it when I had gone to some conferences, and it just kind of woke me up as to how much I was really lacking in teaching my own students. So just to kind of give you a perspective of where I come from and where other countries are, I recognize that other countries were way ahead of us. For example, if you look at this timeline, you'll see that both the UK and Canada started way before we even did anything to pass an initiative to start it. People from all over the world were seeing how important this was to their students, and yet there really wasn't anything being done about it. So I put a picture at the bottom there. If you want to know more about the program, obviously you go to quantum.gov, and that gives you all the background and all the timeline. But we are behind the times. They are already way ahead of us. They've already spent a lot of money. I know that Canada particularly spent, I want to say it was 11 or 12 million dollars just making sure that all of their high school students across Canada had access to some of this and what was going on. And that was what, 6 years ago? So a couple of years ago, we were trying to get some high school teachers on board with teaching quantum in the high school, and we were fortunate enough to have a grant supported by the National Science Foundation to bring that into the classroom. So what does that look like, or what did we do? Well, we had to first of all gather high school teachers, because they are important in knowing exactly what the kids can do, what's age appropriate. We had to bring in experts to give us advice on what you can do and can't say. That's been a real learning curve for me. And then we had to try to come up with experiments and activities, resources that the kids can use in a classroom that's very low cost, because we know there's not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars vested into these classrooms to implement this. So you see in the bottom middle picture there some polarizers and diffraction glasses and just transparencies. You see on the far left a cup with some sand and some slits. So we tried to make it very user friendly, for lack of a better word. The problem, one of the problems that we've run into is that in trying to get it at the high school level, there's a fine line between making it so simple that it's incorrect and keeping it well vetted. So we're working at that, and we're having teachers look at it, we're having experts look at it, and we just revised a bunch of stuff that we did last weekend. So next slide. What does it actually look like in the classroom? Well, it can be anything from what we call homemade quantum dots to LEDs to glow sticks to talk about energy levels. And relating that back to quantum. In the classroom, we're not asking that teachers totally revamp everything they're doing and spend a whole month stopping everything else and do quantum. What we're trying to do is find inroads where the teachers are already teaching, let's say, classical physics, chemistry, whatever it happens to be, and help them see a way to bridge over to quantum on that, so that the kids understand that there is a quantum connection in all of those topics. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is helping them see that, because they already teach a lot of it, they just don't extend it far enough. And so with the grant that we have, we are having teacher workshops to work with teachers and helping them realize how it can be implemented. And then part of that includes student camps, where we work with teachers, and then we have camps where the kids are going to come in, and the teachers that we have worked with will be the camp leaders. So it gives them an opportunity to practice what they have been learning. It's a little bit different model, because a lot of times in workshops, we just kind of pour everything out for the teachers and we tell them everything they need to know. And then they go away and 3 months later or 4 months, they're supposed to turn around and teach that. And that's pedagogically, I don't think that's appropriate because we don't do that in classrooms. In the classrooms, we teach the kids a little bit and then they practice it, right? You know, we don't have them, we don't go through the whole chapter and then say, oh, by the way, now go and work all the problems at the end of the chapter. You know, you do it in bits and pieces. So that's the philosophy that we are taking with this grant. So the teachers will learn some things, practice some things, and then they will teach it at the camp so that they have some peer support. They have leaders that will be there for support. And it's really a non-threatening environment because they don't have to do it for their own students on their own with nobody to, you know, throw a question out if they don't know the answers. And so that is the approach that we're using. Next slide, Majida. So for an overview, we are trying to truly integrate STEM. We have coding, we have engineering design, we have chemistry, physics, math, all of those that we're trying to embed in these lessons. We want to be sure that it is appropriate for high school. And so we don't want it to also be limiting to high school students. We don't want it to just be appropriate for AP. It needs to be appropriate and accessible for all students, hence the term quantum for all, not just quantum for the AP or quantum for the SMART. So we want to be sure that all students have those opportunities. And then we want to provide support for those teachers that have come to the workshops and so forth. The next slide has a QR code, I think, yes, that will take you to the website where teachers can read more about the workshops and the camps and apply for those. There are not a lot of slots open for those workshops because the teachers are being paid a stipend to come. And so we obviously are limited in how many of those stipends we can pay, but there are a couple, particularly if you are in the what we call local area of where one of the workshops are. And so we're going to have one up in Baltimore, which means that makes you a local. So that makes you a priority person, and being able to attend this and get some great ideas to take back to your classroom, as well as some equipment and some ways to change your curriculum up for the better, we hope. Let's see what else. Next slide, I think. There you go. I think so. That's pretty much it. There's my email. It's just kmatsler@uta.edu. And again, that's the same QR code. So we just would love for you to help spread the word. If you know high school teachers that, and it can be chemistry, physics, engineering, whatever. And we would love to have them apply. We would love to have them join us. And Majida, what did I forget?
I think the thing is that showing that quantum is for all, and that the workshops you're looking, especially coming hopefully in the Baltimore area for this summer, that we're open for teachers who are really open-minded and incorporating quantum within their curriculum.
Yep. And we think the kids, by the way, are going to get a small stipend too. It's not a lot, but sometimes it takes a little bit of incentive to get students to come, particularly if you're trying to encourage underserved populations to come. A student may have to work in the summer. So hopefully the small stipend will take a little bit of that pressure off them to, you know, say, okay, I can take off work for 4 days and go do this. That's different. So we're trying to break down all those barriers by making it accessible and easy and fun and available to anyone.